always just showed up outside in my backyard, ready to play. Okay, I'll sit with you. Is she gonna bring you lunch? Tina shook her head and didn't say nothing. I just sat there with her, quiet. Sometimes she was like that, quiet and still. Other times she was just like a normal girl, least as much as I could tell, not really having any other friends to speak of. We waited for a long time, but nobody came. After a while, I got bored and started looking around the old burnt-down house. I'd been there before a couple of times, but I always got scared and left before I could see anything. Kids on the school bus would point at this place, nothing visible from the road but the chimney, and say somebody died in the fire and that it was haunted. I wasn't scared of ghosts, not as long as Tina was with me and it was daylight. I found a nickel and a Bible that you could still read some of the pages in. Then I was rooting around in a back room and found a golden locket. The chain was melted away, but the locket itself looked like it had been under something when the fire happened, so it wasn't hurt too bad. I couldn't get it open, not even with my pocket knife. I messed with it for a long time, then turned to Tina to see if she could open it. Tina was standing at the top of the steps with a pretty woman with long dark hair and eyes that hadn't smiled in a month of Sundays. I don't know how I knew, but I could tell that I'd never seen anyone so sad. She wasn't dressed to be outside, wearing slippers and a housecoat over her pale green nightgown, but she didn't seem to care, and I wasn't going to tell a grown-up how they should or shouldn't dress. I walked over to them and stuck my hand out. "Hey there," I said. "You must be Tina's mama. I'm Lila Grace Carter, and I appreciate you letting Tina come play with me. She has been a good friend to me this summer." She knelt down in front of me, putting herself eye to eye with me, and smiled. It was a winsome thing, a little flutter of a smile that might run away if you looked at it too hard. So I tried to pretend like I couldn't tell she didn't have many smiles in her life. "Why, thank you, Lila Grace. I appreciate you keeping my baby company these past months, till I could come be with her again. I expect we've got to move along now, but know that wherever you go, Tina will always be your friend." Then she stood up, motioned Tina over to her side, took her hand, and they were gone. That's all it was. 1 second they were standing in front of me, the next they were gone. I turned around in circles and ran around that burnt-up homestead looking and hollering for Tina, but she was gone. After what felt like hours of looking, I decided she was gone for good and trudged on home. Mama was standing at the sink peeling potatoes for supper when she saw me walk up the driveway. "Lila Grace, you leave them nasty boots on the back porch and wash up before you come in this house," she hollered through the screen window. I took off my boots and turned on the spigot by the back door, then let the water run through the hose for a minute till it got cold and washed the dirt and soot off my hands and feet and face. I dried off with an old towel hanging by the back door that Daddy used to clean up with before he came in from the sawmill at night, and I carried my boots in and set 'em on the porch before I hopped up to the kitchen table for some lunch. We never ate in the dining room except on special occasions. Mama brought me a glass of sweet tea and a tomato sandwich, and I could see on her face she'd been crying. "What's wrong, Mama?" I asked as she sat down, washing down a big bite of homegrown tomato and mayonnaise with tea sweeter than lemonade. "A woman from our church passed this morning, honey, and the whole thing made me a little sad. I was glad when you came home for lunch, instead of going off all day playing today." "Who was it?" I asked, taking another too big bite of sandwich. Mama smiled at me as the tomato juice ran down my chin. She picked up a paper napkin off the table and wiped my face for me. I grimaced a little. I wasn't a little kid anymore, but she was upset, so I let her do it without fussing. "I don't think you knew her, but it was Clara Good. Her family lived down the road a piece before you were born. Her husband and daughter were killed in a house fire years ago, and poor Clara never was right after that. She couldn't keep a job, and finally they had to put her in a home up in Rock Hill. Well, she died today, and it all reminded me of how sad the whole story was." "She lived in that old burnt-out house on the other side of Mr. Sam Jr.'s place?" I asked, slipping the locket deep into the front pocket of my jeans. "Yes."